Hello car chums and welcome back. You know it's a cold one today because I've got my neck warmer on and I've got about 7 layers on because it's about minus 35 outside, accurate description. But what a week. I just did probably one of my longest ever videos, my, 50-minute how-to for rebuilding your front brakes. So if that tickles your pickle and that's something you're actually looking to do, go check it out. If I can figure out the technicalities of it, I will put the link just up here. If I can't, it will be in the description. But yeah, I didn't want to do it as part of like a build series or anything like that. It's not a particularly interesting subject in itself, but it's actually pretty interesting, I feel, actually doing it, especially if you haven't done it before. So definitely check that out if you can. That does lead me on to obviously a little bit of a sneak into what I've been up to, because you could be forgiven for thinking, with all my talk and excitement about the Slug project and supercharging my 899cc engine for my other one, that I've forgotten about the old turbo, but I haven't. I've been really busy, so obviously I've rebuilt the brakes. As you can see, sort of, if I tip this, you can kind of tell it's on its wheels anyway. So the fact that it's on its wheels means the brake rebuild probably went fairly well, which it did. So they're back on. I've also done another little upgrade on the brakes, which I'll cut to in a second. And also I've started bleeding the brakes as well, which again, I will actually probably touch on a little bit at some point, so I haven't bled them properly yet. I need to go all the way around. But I borrowed one of those South bleeders from my mate Shaden. Cheers for that, mate. It just pressurizes it from the top, pumps the fluid through, so it's pretty easy. But it's been a very fortunate week, I have to say, and I've been signing myself up for all kinds of things. So fortunate in that I've managed to land myself some pretty interesting parts, I have to say. Some of them just spare bits, some of them spare engine parts. I did get a spare set of these 899cc pistons and rods in excellent condition. Let's hope I never need them, but you never know. Depending on how hard we push it, they might come in handy. I've also got, where's he gone? Oh, there I am. I've got things like another couple of spare wings, because I've got a little idea for something for that as well. All down to even things like wheels and a few other bits I've been accumulating. I did hit my eBay account pretty hard today as well, with some few bits for the slugs. I had a little bit of a brainwave. But one of the biggest bits of news is, if you'll remember, if you've been with this channel since the beginning, or if you've recently come and watched my first ever video of me taking the Slug, my Silver Chink, around the Kerber sprint track, Team Horny Racing are organising another event, but this time at the Welsh racetrack, the Lando racetrack. I'll apologise now if I said that right. And I've signed up to it. So it's such a chilled out atmosphere last time, and it seems like a real good bunch of people. And from what I've heard, the Lando race circuit, top notch. It's basically like a massive oval with a couple of chicanes in it, and apparently pretty handy if you've got like a relatively small light car, and that's all I own. So what car will I be taking, you're going to ask? Well, I'm taking the turbo. It's not until July the 3rd. That is more than enough time, given that effectively there is basically nothing left to do to this car other than mapping and then anything that comes up out of it. I mean, finished is a strong word, but as in, you know, done, ready to run. So yes, I won't be taking the silver one. I won't be taking the Slug. There is talk about another Kerber sprint day. If that's the case, and it's not like next month or something, I will absolutely try and take the Slug with the supercharger on it, and just see how much time I can knock off that original time on there, with maybe some slightly different tyres. Hopefully the extra certain amount of horsepower that the charger gives it. But we'll go from there. But without further ado, let's get cracking on the last few bits for the car. I've got a new tune for it now. My mate Claudio has been busting his ass sorting it out, because I sent him my original tune, and he said it was littered with loads of little problems. Nothing big, but you know, the tune's been in there since right near the beginning when I was learning, so it's inevitable there were going to be a few problems with it. But you know, keep everything crossed, by the end of this evening I might actually have a running car. God forbid, actually be considering booking it in for an MOT and mapping session. So I mean, I actually genuinely don't know what I'll do if once this is finished. I mean, obviously I do, I'll be supercharging another one, but it's been in here so long I've almost forgotten what the floor looks like. So let's crack on. I reckon first up, let's have a little look at the brakes and fitting the braided lines. Just while I'm unpacking these, you may be saying to yourself, if you're quite new to this, because there's every possibility that you are, and even if you're not new to it, you may be saying to yourself, why have you bothered getting braided brake lines, Ben? Well, for those of you who paid attention in science, liquid is not compressible. So you can't compress liquids. So generally speaking, when you press your brake and it compresses the liquid that pushes down into your brake pipes and down into your brake calipers, that liquid is going to be trying to go somewhere. So if you've got rubber hoses, as a rule, especially if they're getting a little bit old, when you start really beating on the brakes, those hoses basically expand a little bit. It's probably not a huge amount unless your brake pipes are really knackered. But what that does is just takes a little bit of brake efficiency away. You're not pressing on the brakes as hard as you can, because as that pressure builds, it's just pushing out the pipes instead. So if you get braided lines, thus, because they are, as it says, braided with metal, there is, within reason, no give. So when you press your brakes, all of that pressure is going from your master cylinder down to your brake calipers. That is why all your other brake lines are solid. That's why you don't have rubber hoses all the way down for your things. So for the sake of £35, I haven't done the backs. I will. There's nowhere near as much braking done at the back as there is on the front anyway. I did, for a second question, whether the fact that the back ones are still rubber, whether it actually kind of makes the front ones a little bit pointless, because they still will flex, but it's going to be halving my problems. Nice and easy. That end literally slots in up, excuse me, into the car. There's a little C-clip that holds it on. That end screws into the caliper. And that's about as easy as it gets. So I'm going to crack on, do the first one. I probably won't show you doing it because it's so easy. I'll just show you afterwards. There's one braided hose on. Now I'm a little bit surprised with the angle this actually comes on there. So I've got it nice and straight at the top, so it's away from the actual bodywork. I've actually done it full lock to lock, and it doesn't seem to get like any more pinched or anything. And it's obviously its lowest drop at the moment because obviously it's jacked up. So I will potentially stick the jack under and just jack this up a little bit just to make sure this doesn't kink too much. But I mean, they're basically the same length as the original hoses. So I assume that's fine. I genuinely can't see another way to route it other than this. I mean, it does move a little bit in and out of the actual holder. So I guess as it goes up and down, it will move in and out of the rubber. But otherwise, that's as good as I'm going to get it. So I'm going to do the other side. And then we'll start bleeding the brakes. Bleeding the brakes even. I don't know. Right. Bit of a whistle stop tour with the brakes, I appreciate, but I feel like I've done enough videoing on brakes for that recently. Like I said, dead easy to fit the braided hoses. Bleeding the brake system isn't particularly difficult either. It's just a bit sort of long-winded having to work your way around doing it, but I may show you a little bit on that if there's any interest in there. I did also buy a 2¼ inch exhaust clamp just to finish clamping up the exhaust. So that's done. Aside from at some point I do need to like loosen it off, drop part of it off so I can hit the heat shield because it's catching a little bit. The other thing to do now is to hook the battery up. I'm going to hook the battery up, go get the laptop from the house because I've made the mistake of leaving it in here before and getting it freezing cold, just not agree with it at all. And then we'll load Claudio's new tune, which is now called the Evo tune, which may be a little bit aiming a little bit high, but and then yeah, I'll film it. I mean, it's either going to fire up or it's not. I mean, I'm not going to mess with it this time. If it starts up after a few tries with this tune, sweet. Otherwise, I'll go back to him rather than me messing up all his hard work. So let's do it. I'm just going to move a couple of bits to the back of the garage, and we'll just keep this truck rolling. Well, there you go, look. That's a good sign. Laptop turned on, no problems, and the new tune started up with absolutely no problem at all. Not that I doubted you, Claudio, but this computer does give me a few issues sometimes. So all I need to do now is just dig out the cable, because I still haven't got the Bluetooth adapter for this to work properly for some reason. We'll fire it up, and in theory, as soon as I turn off the ignition, it will recognise that this is a different tune, and it is different to the one on the ECU, and then I'll just cross absolutely everything. I'll burn it. I shouldn't need to prime the system and stuff. It's only been a couple of weeks since it ran, so it should be fine. I shouldn't have to worry about oil pressure and stuff like that. I will put a little bit more oil in it just before I start, after having that leak the other day. Otherwise, there's nothing else left to say. Right, let's not mess about with this too much. Now, I will be honest, I did forget to turn the ignition off when I hooked the battery up, so the fuel pump's already kicked in, so I know that's all right. Which is, anybody who's been watching this channel knows this car absolutely munches fuel pumps for no reason. But after flushing the tank, draining all the old fuel and everything out of it, I'm hoping I've got that covered. I've got the ignition on now, so the wideband's all warmed up. Still telling me I basically got no fuel, but I know I do. I am just opening up my new project. At the moment, it didn't want to link to the ECU, but I'm fingers crossed. I've restarted the program, so it should actually do it. But if not, that is one more problem for me to resolve. Taken out of one USB slot, stick it in this one. This laptop is so random. Right now, you're not going to be able to see that, but what it is basically said is it's highlighted that all of these things have changed. So you can see how many different things that Claudio changed on my tune since the last time. And it's saying, would you like to send the offline values to your controller? And the answer to that is absolutely freaking yes. If you would please like to burn those over. So now it is now sending my tune to my ECU. Now we will just have a quick look to see what we got going on. Coolant temps, yeah, it's freaking freezing. I don't know what lost sync counter is. I think he's given me a whole load of new gauges basically. Fuel load, ignition advance, well, you got engine revs, throttle position. Let's have a look. Okay, throttle position is working. I do have to stamp on it a little bit more than I'd like, so I might have to recalibrate that a little bit. Otherwise, yeah, Jesus, let's just try it. Let's just try it. Let's not mess about. Right, am I out of gear? Yes, I'm out of gear. I was getting a little bit late, so let's not try and wind the neighbours up too much. Okay. Oh, fuel pump sounds a little bit more healthy now. Right, let's try it. Sorry, it's still offline. Don't do that to me. Oh, okay. Now that was actually a lot easier to keep that running, so let's give that another shot. I do hate when it does that. How are we doing? Now, it definitely sounds much healthier. I mean, to be fair, I'm doing this when it's like literally like nearly -1 out. So, I mean, you know, what can you really expect? So I can't work out what it actually prefers, whether it wants me to blip it or whether it wants to just stay on it. Now, I'm actually going to call that a win, purely because that was so much easier to keep that running. I was only have to give very light touches on the throttle, and it actually sounds a lot better as well. Now, I thought it actually sounded pretty good when I got it running last time, but it definitely wasn't firing like 100%. And I did have a couple people comment actually saying it sounded like it was misfiring a little bit, which I think was probably just over fueling like mad. I'm going to say it, I'm as confident as I can be, as long as that oil leak's sorted out now on the front. I'm as confident as I can be that that's good enough to go for mapping. I mean, they just said to me their main thing was if you know it can start and it'll run, then within reason you know there's nothing major wrong with it. So I know the fuel pump's working, I know I'm getting spark and all the ignition side of it's working. I know I'm getting all my readings. I'm reading boost pressure, I'm getting all my inlet temperatures, my air fuel pressure's reading. Within reason, I mean, apart from anything terrible happening, that should be good enough. I mean, they're going to basically rebuild this map from scratch anyway, I imagine. Apart from like all the settings for like injector size and stuff like that, which I'm assuming they'll check with me anyway. That is absolutely peachy. So basically now, I mean, I'm going to give the car a wash. I mean, I may even do a little video of me actually giving it a T-cut. I've got a new polisher now that I'm going to use. We'll T-cut it up. I'll go around, check a few more nuts and bolts. Otherwise, I mean, I'm going to book it in. I'm going to ring them up, find out what their deal is with lockdown and stuff, and restrictions and things like that. Otherwise, fingers crossed, I will probably rent a beaver tail, just get like a flatbed. They've now got one in my town, a rental company for it, thankfully. Pick it up early in the morning, drive down there. As long as it goes well, I'll get it all done. And I've decided to actually get it MOT'd at a garage just down the road from me. So rather than take it all the way there, mapping and everything goes okay, then it fails on something big for the MOT, I'd like to be able to just cruise it down the road and have another MOT done, so I'll do that. But otherwise, yeah, absolutely freaking buzzing. That is about as well as I could probably hope for that to go, given that Claudio's done that without everyone seeing the car, and he's done it from his house in Turin. So I mean, like, that's pretty decent going. So yeah, unless I think of anything else to cover, I'm gonna say that's a wrap for this short episode. Keep peeled for updates coming up with everything else. I am going to be launching my Super Slug project series along with, hopefully, my new intro video and all my new logos and everything as well. So we can kickstart all that stuff off at the same time. And I'm genuinely really excited about starting it. It is going to be completely off the wall with some of the things I'm having to do to make this thing work. But it's going to be so much fun. So keep them tuned. Don't forget to check out my Instagram account. I'm having a lot of fun posting stuff up on there. And my Facebook page as well. And other than that, I will see you for the next one. I'm going to go inside now and lie down face down somewhere near a radiator because I literally can't feel my hands.